If you want your podcast to stay small and stuck forever, just keep making these 26 mistakes. In fact, most podcasts I've audited this year are making at least half of these and wondering why their growth is stalled. So today I'm going to walk you through all 26 podcast killing mistakes I see over and over again, and more importantly, what to do instead. Let's get into it. Mistake number one is you picked a clever title, not a clever one. You should definitely name your podcast something poetic and vague. Something like In the Moment or Between the Lines. The problem is that you've got less than a second to make a stranger say, "Oh, this is for me." If your title doesn't trigger instant relevance, they're gone. I've seen this with coaching podcasts, business shows, even mental health series. They have incredible content, but it's hidden behind cryptic titles. Fix this by treating your title like a billboard. Clarity over cleverness. Make it searchable, scannable, and above all, speak directly to your ideal listener's desire or identity. So, just to spark a couple ideas, the productive therapist works. Productivity for overwhelmed therapists works even better. The second mistake is that you treated your cover art like an afterthought. You probably just slapped together a Canva template at 2 a.m., which I get it, you were probably really eager to launch. But the thing is, your cover art is your storefront. It's the first impression you make in a crowded app where everyone's swiping fast. I audited a great business podcast recently. Smart hosts, great guests, consistent episodes, but their growth had flatlined. Then I looked at their cover art and boom, tiny serif font, no contrast, grainy stock photo. It looked like something from 2007. So if you want people to take your show seriously, your art needs to look like something they take seriously. So think bold type, crisp color contrast, and a design that holds up at thumbnail size. Mistake number three is that your show description is all about you. And it always sounds something like, "This podcast explores the intersection of life, leadership, and legacy." It sounds nice, but it tells me nothing about what I'll actually get as a listener. Here's what most podcasters forget. Your show description isn't about what the show is. It's about what it does for the person reading it and later on listening to it. In other words, it's not a resume, it's a promise. So rather than having a description that sounds like a college course catalog, directly call out the pain points and goals of your audience. So my recommendation here is to write like a copywriter. Lead with transformation and be specific about who it's for and what they'll gain. Mistake number four, you are trying to be everything to everyone. You want to help leaders and creatives and entrepreneurs and high performers and anyone with a pulse. Cool. Now, no one knows it's for them. In nearly every audit I've done, this is the killer. Lack of positioning, lack of a spiky point of view. The show blends in. No one remembers it. No one shares it. And no one sticks around. So here's a fix. Fill in this sentence. I want to be known as the blank person for blank audience. That's your starting point. Mistake number five, you are using the same format as everyone else in your niche. Welcome to yet another interview show. You bring on great guests, ask great questions, and wonder why growth is slow. Here's why. The concept isn't sticky. There's no hook, no container, no repeatable idea that makes the show feel bingeable or brandable. Contrast that with a show that does, say, 15-minute tear-down episodes called Sales Pages That Sell every week, where you audit one sales page and break down what works and what doesn't. Same niche, wildly different result. If your format is talk to interesting people it better be paired with a concept that turns heads. Find the thing that creates curiosity, structure, and consistency. Mistake number 6, you can't explain your show in 15 seconds. Now imagine this. You are at a networking event and someone says, "So what's your podcast about?" And you launch into a 3-minute ramble. No shade. I've done it too. But here's the thing. If you can't articulate your show, your audience definitely won't. So try to use this formula. It's a podcast for audience who want to solve problem or achieve goal, and each episode gives them specific value or transformation. If you can say that cleanly, you've got a hook. If not, that's the first thing to fix. The 7th mistake is that you didn't study the competition at all. You launched your podcast without looking at who else is in your niche. You're brave, but not in a good way. One client told me they were frustrated that they weren't standing out. Turns out their show name, format, and even episode titles were eerily similar to 3 of the top shows in their space. Total accident, maybe, but it made their show feel like a knockoff, even though their content was genuinely strong. So, to fix this, spend 1 hour mapping out the top 10 shows your audience already listens to. Then ask yourself, how are you not like them? Your unique angle starts there. Number 8, your episode titles sound like file names. Episode 17, Interview with Janet Peters. Who's Janet? Why should I care? What am I gonna learn? You probably already know this, but your titles need to pull people in. Every episode title should promise a payoff, add tension, spark curiosity. So use phrases your audience is actually searching for. Write titles like you are pitching a Netflix special, not labeling your Google Drive folder. Mistake number 9, you open with a guest clip that makes 0 sense. And you've definitely heard this before. The episode kicks off with a dramatic line from the guest. That's when everything fell apart. The problem is that there's no context, no setup. New listeners have no idea who's speaking or why that moment matters. A better approach is to use your intro to set the scene, establish the stakes, tease the transformation, and then drop the clip with context so the emotional punch actually lands. Your intro's job is to validate the listener's click, not confuse them into leaving. Number 10, your title, intro, and first question don't match. Imagine clicking on an episode titled, How to Land Your First Paid Speaking Gig. And the first question is, so, where did you grow up? You just burned the goodwill of your title. Listeners clicked in for transformation, not a life story. I've seen this a lot in interview-style shows where the host uses the same first few questions for everyone. But if those questions don't tie into the title or promised value, your attention graph is going to look like a ski slope. So to fix that, match your first 60 seconds to your episode title. Deliver the premise fast, pull people into the transformation before you zoom out for background. Mistake number 11, you start every episode with, tell us about yourself, similar to the previous one. If I had $1 for every podcast that opened this way, I could retire and just guest on shows full time. Here's the deal. When you open with this question, you are signaling to new listeners that this episode isn't urgent. It's casual, optional. And in today's sea of distraction, optional means skippable. I audited a startup marketing podcast recently. Great title, strong hook. But the first 5 minutes was just backstory, credentials, childhood dreams. By the time they got to the thing people actually clicked for, half the audience had bounced. Fix this by leading with the gold. Open with the idea, insight, or tension that makes the episode irresistible. You can circle back to bio stuff once people are invested. Number 12, you delay the payoff for way too long. You titled your episode, "The One Thing That Scaled My Coaching Business to $30,000 a Month." Amazing. But then you spent 17 minutes on housekeeping, shout-outs, and what you had for breakfast. And I get it, it's your show. You want to warm up. But unless you're a household name, most listeners came for the thing you promised, and they want it fast. So trim your intros from 8 minutes to under 90 seconds and see your average consumption rate go up. Same content, better pacing. Get to the good stuff sooner. Mistake number 13, you have no structure to your episodes. Every episode is a free-for-all. No rhythm, no tension, no internal scaffolding to keep listeners engaged. Think about YouTube. The best creators use segments, visual resets, and narrative loops. Why? Because structure sustains attention. It creates momentum. Podcasts need this too. One show I audited added just 2 anchor points, a midpoint summary and a recurring closing question. And suddenly their episode felt tighter, easier to follow, and more re-listenable. You don't need a full-blown format, but a few repeatable beats go a long way. Mistake number 14, you're leaving 30% of your content on the table. You're saying too much and delivering too little. Most podcasters could cut a third of their episode and make it better. Less fluff, more punch. Edit like your listeners are busy, because they actually are. Mistake number 15 is that you don't have a clear job to be done for your show. Your episode list is all over the place. Some are mindset riffs, some are tactical tips, some are interviews with guests from wildly different industries. And it's not that variety is bad, it's that inconsistency kills trust. If I can't predict the value of your next episode, I'm less likely to subscribe. So the fix here is to define the core job your show does for listeners. Is it to help them make more sales, avoid burnout, build confidence? Once you've got that, filter every episode idea through it. The clearer the purpose, the stickier the experience. 16, you record without a plan, and it shows. You hit record and hope magic happens, but it usually doesn't. I've heard so many episodes that wander, stall, and circle the same ideas. When I ask hosts what their goal was for that episode, they shrug. We just wanted to see where it went. That might work for dinner conversations, but it doesn't work for audience growth. So to fix this, before you record, ask yourself, what's the core tension of this episode? What questions are we answering? What shifts are we creating? A little planning up front makes the content way more valuable on the back end. Number 17, you think more downloads equal more revenue. You keep saying, if I could just get more listeners. But here's the truth. I've worked with shows doing 500 downloads per episode that are pulling in $20,000 a month, and others doing 10,000 downloads per episode with zero business results. Growth is great, but it's not your most leveraged move if your funnel, your offer, or your CTA is broken. So focus first on turning current listeners into clients. Better conversion creates a revenue engine, so when growth does happen, it compounds. Mistake number 18, you have no consistent call to action. Sometimes you mention your newsletter, sometimes a lead magnet, other times nothing at all. That's confusing for listeners, and confusion kills conversion. One show I audited added a single consistent CTA to the beginning and end of each episode and saw a 3x increase in email subscribers in the first month. No extra effort, just consistency. So pick one primary CTA and commit to it for 90 days. Mention it early, mention it clearly, and repeat it often. Mistake number 19, you are afraid to talk about your offer. You feel weird selling. So you don't mention your coaching, you don't mention your product or your services at all. You just hope people figure it out. They don't. I've worked with brilliant consultants who deliver massive value but whisper their offer like it's a dirty secret, then wonder why no one's buying. So normalize your offer. Talk about it with the same energy you talk about anything else you believe in. Show how it connects to the episode topic. Let people know how they can take the next step and why it matters. Mistake number 20, your product pitch is vague or generic. You say, DM me if you're interested, or check out my coaching. Now, cool, but what is your coaching? Who is it for? What problem does it solve? Generic pitches don't convert. Clear, specific, value-driven ones do. One of my clients went from book a discovery call to, if you're a service-based founder stuck under $10,000 a month, I'll help you design a productized offer that scales without hiring a team. Book a free roadmap call at that. Guess which one worked better? So, make your CTA as clear and compelling as your episode title. And don't be afraid to repeat it. Clarity sells. Number 21, your free content is doing your paid offers job. You are pouring your best frameworks, advice, and strategies into your episodes. You're doing it to be generous, but it's actually cannibalizing your business. My fix? Teach the what and the why for free. Save the how, the personalized process, the accountability, the depth for your offer. Use your podcast to build trust and desire, not deliver the entire transformation. Mistake number 22, you don't use your email list to support your podcast, or vice versa. You've got podcast listeners, you've got email subscribers, and they're living completely separate lives. So maybe something you can do is start summarizing each episode in your weekly newsletter with a direct link and a one-line takeaway. Engagement will go up, your open rates will improve, and your listeners will have a reminder system that isn't just the algorithm. So build the bridge. Let your podcast feed your email list. Let your email list drive podcast retention. Mistake number 23, you are copying big-name podcasters without understanding why it works for them. You're mimicking the intros, the style, the structure of creators with massive reach, forgetting they can break the rules because of who they are. I reviewed one show that started with 2 minutes of small talk before getting to the topic. And when I asked why, the host said, that's what Tim Ferriss does. Here's the thing. Tim Ferriss is Tim Ferriss. You're not playing the same game. So, reverse engineer why something works. Is it trust? Is it familiarity? Is it momentum? Use those principles, not their format. Number 24, your podcast doesn't have a defined role in your business. You are making content, but for what purpose? Lead gen? Brand authority? Funnel entry point? Nurture? Without clarity on this, everything downstream becomes murky. Content strategy, CTAs, guest invites, even episode topics. So first, define the podcast's job, and then build every element around helping it succeed at that job. Mistake number 25, you don't stand for anything. So no one stands with you. You are playing it safe. You're being neutral. You are avoiding friction, and you're wondering why no one's engaging, sharing, or coming back. Look, one of the fastest ways to get remembered is to take a stance, even a small one. When you draw a line in the sand, the right people lean in, the wrong ones self-select out. That's a win-win. So, identify your brand villain. What's the status quo you challenge? What do you stand for and against? Make it clear in your intros, your episode topics, even your metaphors. And lastly, number 26, You are trying to fix everything all at once. You made it this far into the list and now you are panicking. I'm making 19 of these mistakes. Breathe. That's normal. Every show I've ever audited, even the ones doing well, had several of these going on. The difference? They fixed them methodically, not all at once, not perfectly, just one by one with intention. So start with the area that feels most broken. Is it getting new listeners? Is it keeping the ones you have? Or turning listeners into leads? Focus there first. Everything else can follow. Pick one section: attraction, retention, or monetization, and go all in for 30 days. That's how we improve. Fix just a few of these things and your show will feel different, more aligned, more fun, more magnetic, and that's what creates growth that lasts. And if you're wondering what to focus on next, especially if you want your podcast to drive actual business results, there is a video I think you'll love right here. And inside, I walk you through the exact 3-part method I've used to help clients turn their podcasts from random side projects into high-performing business assets. Click it, watch it, and you'll never plan an episode the same way again.